welcome to Artist Spotlight again. Today we have Yong Choi. He is a concept artist and illustrator, among other things. How you doing, Nak?
I'm doing great. Thank you so much for having me.
No problem. Thank you for joining us here on Artist Spotlight, man.
Yeah,
So,
I was born in Seoul, South Korea, and I was raised in Hawaii since I was 8 years old. And now I'm currently in Los Angeles, in California.
got you. So, what got you into LA, into the? Because I'm assuming, are you doing more television, film projects, or more commercial and industrial stuff, or?
Yeah, so I work in TV and film, and I came to California for college. So I went to Cal Arts to study character animation there, and ended up working in animation after that.
Got it. Okay. And so you kind of just kind of went to school in Cali and just got your job there and just kind of rolled with it, right?
Yep, yep.
Okay. And now, so was this you took a route that some people I've talked to have taken, some haven't, as far as
Yeah,
going to college. So
yeah.
evidently you already kind of had a game plan. So how long in your life, or what point in your life did you know that you wanted to do animation and the film thing and cartoons, things of that nature?
Yeah, so when I was 8 years old, my parents decided to send me to live in Hawaii. So I was separated from my parents for 5 years. So they were living in Korea, making money, and I was in Hawaii being raised by my uncle and auntie. And when I was little, I was very fat. And I didn't speak English at all, so I got bullied a lot. So the only friend I had was just like a Mickey Mouse doll that my parents gave me. And every Saturday morning, I would like hold the Mickey Mouse doll and I'll watch Saturday morning cartoons. And I'll be like, whoa, like I feel like you can do that for a job. So I dreamed about being an animator one day, working at Disney. So that's how kind of came to be. And when I told my parents in high school, like, hey mom, hey dad, I decided to be an animator. I want to study animation. And my Asian parents, they're like, how dare you? You dishonor our family. You should be a doctor, lawyer, a businessman. And I was like crying. And I was like, no, like, this is my life. Like, that's what I want to do. And they were like, oh, that is so shameful. Like, you shouldn't be an artist. You'll be like starving and stuff. But I just had these amazing teachers at the University of Hawaii who said, "Hey, Knock, like just go after your dreams." And there was a news article that said like CalArts is one of the best animation school there. And my parents had no money, so I had to like kind of make my own path. And they also don't speak English at all, so I had to figure out the financial aid stuff, applying to college all by myself. Um, and I just kept going and I just reached for the college and I got accepted into it and just that just led me on the journey.
So you kind of found like some
Yeah.
kind of solace in this world of animation, and it
Yeah.
kind of protected you against the whole bullying and the rest of the world. So it kind of give you some comfort and a shield
Yeah.
against the rest of the world, huh?
Right, right.
Wow,
It
that's
really
that
did.
that's amazing. That's amazing.
Oh.
And it was almost deeper than just you wanting to draw at that point. It was almost personal to an
Mm,
extent, huh?
yeah. So I actually have the doll right next to me, so I'll show
Oh,
you.
oh no, you got the
So
dog.
this is
Oh my god,
this is a
that's
Mickey Mouse
Mickey.
doll I
That's the
had since I was 5 years old.
so that's the dog. That's the Mickey that got knocked through those hard years, huh?
Yeah.
Wow.
So at that time I had no friends and didn't speak English at all and I was very lonely. Also my aunt and uncle they would go to work from like 8 a.m. to like 10 p.m. So I had to like raise myself since I was 8. And I think Mickey for me like became a friend when no one else would. Mickey listened to me, and that kind of taught me like, oh, I want to be a person who is a friend when they have no one to talk to. I want to create art that kind of shares that empathy, that warmth, and the love. So yeah, so here's a Mickey. Yeah.
So that's awesome. But let's talk about this. Your title is concept artist. Let's because
Yeah.
there's several different types of animation and things like that. What's explain to me exactly a concept artist and what that does?
Yeah, so a concept artist is we create visuals for the ideas. So we help the dreams to come true. So we'll have anywhere from directors, art directors, to executives, to a whole different team. And they'll be like, hey, we want to create this project. We want to create this film. Can we design a character? So concept artist is a character designer and a visual development artist. So we do backgrounds and things like that. Um,
You don't just do the characters, you do the backgrounds and everything. Okay, gotcha. Okay.
yeah. So it's like any kind of concept and you make it into art.
About that first job you had and what that was like. You know,
Yeah.
give me that story.
Yeah, so I was graduating and I had like no job perspectives. So I decided to email my teacher and say, "Hey, do you know any like opportunities that's like happening?" And my teacher was like, "Hey, talk to this recruiter at Cartoon Network," and I was like, "Okay." So I contacted her, Megan Nairn, and she's amazing. And she was like, "Hey, we're having a pizza party. Like, do you wanna come over?" And I was like, "Okay, free pizza, like that's awesome." I'm also lactose intolerant, so every time I eat like cheese stuff, like my stomach goes like, like, So I'm eating this pizza, trying to be cool with people, and I'm like dying on the inside. And then there was this executive next to me, and she was like, "Hey, how are you?" And I was like, "Oh, hi, I just graduated. I'm looking for work." So I just showed her my work, and she was like, "Oh, I think you would be like a really cool fit. Do you want to start like develop some stuff for us?" And I was like, "Yeah, that sounds good." So I developed some projects for Cartoon Network when I graduated. One of the main things I hear from like people who's getting into the industry, they're like, "Oh, like I don't know who to like talk to, or I feel scared and things like that." Start with the people close to you, your teachers, your upperclassmen, people who graduated. Or nowadays, like social media is so crazy where you can just DM anyone. And like from time to time, I get DMs from like people like, "Hey, like I love your art. I'm in LA. Like, can I like grab coffee with you?" I'll be like, "Yeah, sure." And I grab coffee, and then we become friends. And then if there's like job openings, I refer them to them. So there's things that happen. So don't be afraid to just reach out and ask. Yeah.
Nice, I like that. And so explain like your typical day. You know, you've been actually in that kind of a role as an artist, and so you've been in the field for how long now?
Yeah, so I graduated from CalArts in 2015, so about 5 years now.
Any projects that we would know that you actually worked on?
Yeah, it was actually a development thing, so it's not released yet. So it takes a long time. I don't know if it's going to be released at all. This stuff like that. I directed for Disney Junior called Lights Camera Lexi on an episode called Bug the Superheroes. I storyboarded for Angry Birds 2. I was a story director for the Animoodles. Yeah, like, but a lot of like development stuff. So it's kind of like under
What
wraps
does it look like?
right
What
now.
software are you
Yeah.
using? What equipment are you using? What's your day, your average day going, and when you're on a
And then
show
you
or something
sit
like that?
down with the director, executive, and they'll be like, "Hey, this is a script that we have, or this is an idea we have. Can you like draw these characters?" Sometimes I have to storyboard as well, so I storyboard the sequences for them. I use Photoshop, a lot of Adobe. Adobe Premiere is really great. After Effects. Now I'm also getting into VR. VR is changing a lot of the old pipelines they used to have. So before we used to have like a 3D modeler, then you need a rigger, and then you need a writer, lighter, and then render things. Now, when you just use VR, we use Oculus Rift and an app called Quill. You can just quickly create prototypes. So one time I had a meeting with an executive. She was like, "Okay, we're launching this project, blah blah blah," and then she told me the project. And by 1 p.m., I had a prototype to show to her. So it was just really rapid. It's about three different departments becoming one, and just like being able to quickly come up, show the ideas, visualize the ideas.
So let me. I want to put a pin in the VR thing because I wanted to
Yeah.
discuss that was on my list. But for right now, as far as so people can understand who are new to the animation world, because you got like parents, things like that that don't
Yeah.
understand any of this, right? But
Mhm.
explain to somebody, on the basic level, how your art comes into play with this technology, if you can, if that's possible. Like,
Yeah. So I think I can backtrack even more and say, in traditional animation, you used to start with a paper and a pencil. and then you needed to take a picture of the each image to bring it into the computer. But now with like a computer generated like Photoshop and stuff, you can work directly on it. So you're getting rid of that scanning phase, right? Nowadays, the current 3D animation pipeline, it used to be where you draw a character and then someone models it into 3D. So it's like sculpting, making sure it moves in 3D space. You can see in different angles and stuff like that. And then you need to put like a texture, like a clothing, like a hair, like skin and things like that. And then you have to put lighting on it and stuff. So it takes like three additional steps. But with now, it's like you can draw this in VR. So you're like drawing in 3D space. So imagine like if I'm drawing here, I'll be like drawing the head and the eyes, and then like, it's just like three-dimensional thing that you can move around with, and you can like, color and stuff like that, and you can create that character design and animation a lot faster.
Wow. Wow. No,
Yeah,
no. When you are creating that, are you actually have on like VR glasses, stuff like
I do. Yeah, yeah. I have this big Oculus.
that? Is amazing. That is amazing. So you're actually creating this like you're virtually drawing almost like.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah. And what's so really cool is that, as artists, like we're always on our desk, right? So you're like hunched over, like drawing like this. But now with VR, like I can like have my back straight and I'm like standing up and I'm just like moving in space. So I get my exercise done. I get to be creative, and move my muscles more. So I saw like a lot of benefits to my health, as I worked in VR more.
Do you think that we have the technology now that someone who is just independent or just beginning on their own could do that, or are we kind of far away from that?
Yeah, I think it's a bit far, as in the current price to start VR, at the least is $1,000. If you want to like a future proof just a little bit, it's about $1,500. So that can be very costly for a lot of people. And I think what's happening is when you look at like Wacom Cintiqs, these are like drawing pads, electronic drawing pads. They can hook up to your computer. For the past like 5 years, it was like $400 to buy a tablet. But as it got more popular, there were other companies that created that brought the price down a lot. So you can buy one for like $50 now. But that took about like 5 years for it to happen. So I think you will need to do that a bit, like take a little while. But what's so interesting is there are free programs like Photoshop is also allows you to create VR pieces. You can paint it in VR. That's not quite free, but there's also Blender. It's a 3D software program like Maya, and there's a thing called Grease Pencil where you're drawing just like on a flat tablet, and then you can move it in 3D space. Um, so that enables you to kind of like work in VR, but in a different way. Yeah.
That's nice. That's nice. What about on the consumer and the content receiving side? How do
Yeah.
you think, in your opinion, that's going to change your role as far as VI, AI, machine
Yeah.
learning? How do you think those technologies are going to both impact how you create as well as how the end consumer sees the product and their
Mhm.
experience is going to be?
Yeah, like when you're thinking about the future of entertainment, what's so interesting is that we're enabling the consumers to be creative too, to be part of that entertainment. So, for example, a lot of interactivity, I believe, is coming in the future. So when you see these like VR moments, like as a consumer, you can choose where you want to look at. You can choose which option you want to select. You can choose how you want to interact with someone. So it's almost like a game and like a movie coming together. And Netflix is also playing with that with the Bandersnatch on the Black Mirror, where you can like interact and it's like, oh, this is pretty cool. But more of that is going to happen. And for the consumers, with the rise of YouTube, it's like you and I, any of us can be like, you can make it in this world. Our whole idea of what a job is changing. Like you just see people eating stuff all day and they get like millions of dollars. With the VR, yeah, it's crazy, right? With like VR AI, like it will enable you to share your ideas, what you think is possible, or do you have a personal story you want to share? And then it's like an empowerment of everyone, if that makes sense.
It's almost like the storytelling on steroids now, because not only do you
Mm,
have this director or this screenwriter's perception of what they're trying to say, but then you
mm.
intermingle what the audience is going to, their emotions too. How did you kind of come to that fact that you are a piece of a process, right? So you do your part, but
Mm.
then the lighting person has to do that. Does that bother you, or was that hard to kind of a pill to swallow that you weren't like in control of the end result?
Yeah, I think it was like growing pains to learn. It was a hard lesson to learn. Um, so like kind of like taking a few steps back, when I was applying for a lot of jobs, I got rejected a lot. I think like even like couple hundred times by different studios. And yeah, and then there was a time when I even applied for like a janitorial position at a studio and I got rejected. So I hit the lowest of the low bottom, right? And then I watched this documentary of Lady Gaga. It's like 6 feet under or something, something like that. And then she was like, "Oh, when I was at a New York nightclub, I just had in my mind, I'm a rock star. I'm a rock star." And then that's how led her to go after her dreams. So I kept telling myself, I'm a director, I'm a director. And the following week, after I got rejected from being a janitor, Disney Junior called me and said, "Hey, we saw your film online. Can you come direct for us?" And that was like such a crazy thing. It's like social media. Yeah.
Wait a minute, wait a minute, wait a minute. Go back, because
Yeah.
you got a call. They said they didn't say can you come interview for this position. They
Yeah.
said can you come direct for us.
Yeah. That was pretty much it. It was insane. Like it's insane what the like internet can do for you. Like there's this business of animation. My whole life it was just about draw cute bunnies, like cute rats, and you'll be happy. But no, it's like there's a business here. Let's say I doodle something, right? And like it has to go through all these five different departments to get approved for that thing. So as I'm drawing and we're working on this project, a month later, one department will be like, "Oh, you cannot do that." And I was like, what? Where's that from? Oh, that's from 2 months ago. Oh, wait, but we're already ahead of this. Oh my gosh, we had to cancel all this and restart because of that one note. Yeah, and then I have to go to the art director or the people that are hired and say, hey, we have to redo this. And I get the death glare. It's like, how dare you? Like, like we worked so hard on this. So that was a difficult part of like juggling and like trying to wrap my head around. It's like, what is business of animation? How do you deal with executives? How do you like deal with artists who are getting mad at you? And with as a director, you have to kind of learn like which notes to take. So crazy, but it's also really exciting to be in their shoes. So every day imagine like getting all these hundreds of notes, 50 notes every day from different timelines, from different executives telling you like what's wrong with this and stuff.
And going back to
Uh,
those days where you were, got rejected over 100 times, like how do you feel, man? Like how do you feel? Like you
yeah,
going from applying for give me at least a janitor job, right? And then you go and
yeah,
now
yeah,
here
yeah.
you are directing an entire
Yeah.
show. You got a staff. Like what does that feel like right now for you, man? What is that like?
Yeah, like that just what it feels as is gratitude. And what really changed my perspective was living with my two roommates who were actors. And they'll go to like 20, like 30 auditions every day, and they'll get like dozens of like rejections like a day. And here I was like I applied for one studio job and I got one rejection. I'm like crying in the corner, like feeling sorry to myself. And I see my two actors, they're like, yeah, I'm just gonna keep going, keep auditioning. So I think it's all about that perspective. There's like so many opportunities out there, and you just never know. And the ultimate advice that I got from a teacher is that your dream will come true in one shape or form as long as you don't give up. And so for some of us, it can take years. And it's that patience. It's being kind to yourself to keep going, to be able to look yourself in the mirror and to be able to love. the journey, love the process. When I fail, I get excited because it means I'm learning. My parents were like, "Don't ever fail. Like, you have to be like safe, be a doctor, a lawyer, and stuff like that." But the more people I studied, the famous people like J.K. Rowling, Oprah Winfrey, they have all failed on an epic scale. But they allow their failure to be their foundation, to be who they are. So now I believe that the word fail, it stands for few attempts in learning. So when you fail, I want us to be excited. It's like, oh man, like I learned something, I gained something.
Knock your will and
Yeah.
tenacity, man. I mean, just to get is a
Oh.
testament to that because I mean, I can't fathom somebody getting rejected 100 times and then getting a call from
Mhm.
one of the biggest companies in the world to say come direct. I mean, you can just give me something to leave somebody who just might be at that low point.
Yeah, and like if you have to get a job at a bank for a little bit, that's totally okay. This is a journey, this is a process, and you will be taken care of. But do not be afraid to ask for help, to seek help. And I think the biggest part is to join different communities, like Women in Animation. There's a lot of Facebook groups, online communities. Start posting your work every day. I follow this businessman named Gary V, Gary Vaynerchuk. He changed my life. So Gary was like, post every day on Instagram, do like 30 hashtags, and it's gonna change your life. And I was laughing at him. I was like, oh, he doesn't know what he's talking about. He's crazy and stuff like that. And I just said, you know what? I have nothing to lose. Let's just try it for fun. So I started like just drawing every day and posting every day, doing 30 different hashtags. And within the 11th day, this art director saw my work and she was like, "Hey, we want you to work on this project for us." And I was like, "Oh, I'm working on this animation project, so I can't join you." And she was like, "I'll pay you double." And I was like, "Gary V." You know? Uh, so I would say like like be present online, brand yourself. Don't be afraid to like DM people, connect with people, send like genuine compliments to people you look up to. Um, like an artist at Disney or Pixar or DreamWorks or any kind of illustrator or like actor, just DM them like, hey, I love your work. Go see their shows. Become part of that. Women in animation, they hold a lot of mixers. They hold a lot of panels. And it's a fantastic way of meeting recruiters there. Go to like the animation expos. You can meet the professional artists there. So for example, I was at the CTN Expo and this guy was like, "Hey, Nok, like I love your work and stuff like that." And I said, "Oh, thank you so much. Like let's go grab lunch." So I treated him to lunch and he was like, "Oh, my dream was to go visit Pixar." So I hooked him up with my best friend at Pixar, so he got to visit Pixar. So it's like being present. It's like connecting. It's about networking, and you can be afraid of like because a lot of us are introverts, right? As artists. But just form an email. Like for me, it takes a day to write an email, but just do that. Have the patience to just have a genuine compliment for that person, and then ask like, "Hey, can we grab coffee, or do you have any advice for me?" And then go from there, and then build that connection and apply. Just keep applying, and just yeah, patience and gratitude for yourself and for others and for what's to come.
I'm gonna start
Yep.
calling you Knock V. Yeah, man.
Knock, knock.
Hey, look,
Yeah.
Knock, man. I thank you for sharing that story, man. I'm sure you're going to change somebody's life today, and we appreciate you giving us that knowledge, both technical and journey wise. So thank you,
Yep.
sir. I hope you be a friend to the show and come back and check up on us once you tell us
Yes.
about some more of your projects when you start on them. Okay.
Love that. Thank you so much for having me. You're so fantastic and wishing you the best.
Thank you so much, man. All right, Knock. Take it easy.
Okay,
All
bye.
right, my man.